all of these big dick deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is, TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all.
Did you ever think you'd hear about a $50 million contract involving no protection, baby oil, and Hollywood's worst-kept secrets? Well, leave it to Katt Williams to spill the tea on Diddy's freaky behind-the-scenes antics. According to Katt, Diddy offered him $50 million 4 times for some seriously disturbing activities at his infamous freak-off parties. And no, we're not talking about some wild night out in Vegas. This is pure Hollywood scandal at its darkest. So, is this just another case of woke Hollywood gone wild? Or is this the year the truth finally catches up with them?
You know what the #1 job of somebody that sold their soul in Hollywood is?
What?
Is to act like it didn't happen. They all do the same job.
Let that sink in for a minute. 4 separate offers totaling $50 million, all aimed at recruiting Katt for these sickening events. Williams didn't hesitate to call out these offers for what they were, an attempt to exploit him in the most degrading way possible. And why did he refuse? It wasn't about the money, it was about integrity and maintaining what he calls his virgin hole. Now that's a statement that shows just how dark and twisted these invitations were. But what really makes Williams's allegations stand out isn't just the repeated offers of obscene amounts of money. It's the disturbing details of the contracts Diddy supposedly presented to him. These weren't ordinary contracts, mind you. According to Williams, these documents included clauses that allowed Diddy and his partners to engage in unprotected activities with Williams, without any regard for safety or dignity. No lube, no baby oil, nothing. Just raw, unfiltered exploitation. Imagine that, a multi-million-dollar contract that specifically mentions how the person being recruited would be treated like a piece of meat. It's not just gross, it's downright terrifying. This isn't just a one-off incident either. Katt Williams paints a picture of an industry where people like Diddy have been getting away with this kind of behavior for years, maybe even decades. And now, in 2024, it seems like the veil is finally being lifted on the dark side of Hollywood. Williams' broader allegations suggest that Diddy's actions are just the tip of the iceberg. Hollywood is full of powerful figures who have been hiding their dirty secrets behind their fame and fortune. These are the same people who, for years, have been protected by their influence, their money, and the tight-knit network of individuals who enable their behavior. But Katt Williams has had enough. He's stepping forward with his truth, and he's not alone. Fast forward to Diddy's recent legal troubles, and things have taken an even darker turn. We're not talking about some minor offense or a slap on the wrist situation. No, Diddy's charges are far more serious and deeply disturbing. He's facing accusations of trafficking, coercion, and even using physical force to silence and control his victims. These aren't just accusations that can be brushed aside. They're serious federal crimes with life-altering consequences. If convicted, Diddy could spend the rest of his life behind bars. The man who once reigned at the top of the entertainment industry is now staring down the possibility of spending the next 100 years in prison, a fall from grace unlike anything we've seen.
New reaction from a former assistant to Sean Diddy Combs, who remains in a New York City jail after a judge denied a $50 million bond proposal yesterday. Combs expected back in court today for a second bond hearing.
No matter what island you can go slink off to, or no matter who you can pay off, it's not working this time, and justice is actually being served.
What makes this case even more shocking is the fact that Diddy, with all his wealth and influence, has been unable to buy his way out of this one. Despite offering an absolutely jaw-dropping $50 million in bail, alongside his multi-million-dollar mansions, and even the passports of his children as collateral, the judge wasn't having any of it. Bail denied. That's how serious these charges are. When a man worth hundreds of millions can't get out of jail with a $50 million offer, you know the justice system means business this time. This level of denial tells us that the case against Diddy runs deep. The authorities clearly have mountains of evidence that make him a significant flight risk, or worse, a danger to others. The fact that a judge wouldn't budge, even with the kind of money most of us can only dream of, shows that Diddy's past may finally be catching up with him. The justice system, which many might say often turns a blind eye to the powerful and wealthy, is making it clear that this time, there's no escaping the consequences of his actions. Diddy might have been able to play the game for years, but it seems like his time is finally running out. The charges against Diddy aren't just about what happened in the past few months. They stretch back to 2008. Think about that for a second. For over a decade, Diddy has allegedly been involved in a criminal enterprise that trafficked people, forced them into labor, and engaged in other horrendous crimes. How did he get away with it for so long? Well, according to the indictment, Diddy wasn't acting alone. He had powerful allies who helped him cover his tracks, including hotels and other individuals on his payroll who made sure his victims either stayed silent or disappeared altogether. Katt Williams' allegations are just one piece of this twisted puzzle, but they add a deeply disturbing layer of darkness to an already sinister story. It's one thing to hear about trafficking and coercion in abstract terms, but when you add in Williams' personal testimony about Diddy's freak-off parties, it paints an even more harrowing picture. We're not just talking about crimes of opportunity. This is the calculated behavior of a man who built his empire on manipulation, exploitation, and outright abuse of power. The casual cruelty and control that seem to characterize these events go far beyond anything we've heard before. Now, with his carefully constructed empire crumbling, all of Diddy's darkest secrets are finally coming to light, and it's clear that the reckoning is just beginning.
Now, I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times. 4 times. Just to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right. Because P. Diddy be wanting to party. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no. I did. I did. See, I got the receipts for everything I'm telling you. That's why I can say them.
So what exactly are these infamous freak-off parties that Katt Williams and others have been talking about? Well, they're not your average Hollywood get-togethers. These parties, according to numerous sources, were underground events where anything and everything went, especially when it came to debauchery. Diddy reportedly threw these gatherings, inviting the elite of Hollywood, as well as unsuspecting guests who had no idea what they were getting into. The activities that took place at these parties were far from consensual fun. They were often coercive, exploitative, and abusive. Guests were lured in with promises of fame or fortune, only to find themselves trapped in a nightmarish situation. Katt Williams' allegations add more details to this disturbing picture. He claims that Diddy wasn't just hosting these parties. He was actively recruiting people like himself to participate in deeply degrading acts. The contracts Diddy supposedly presented weren't just about getting people to show up. They were about control. According to Williams, these documents outlined how guests would be used, without protection, without safety measures, and without any regard for their well-being. The use of lubricants and baby oil, which sounds absurd on the surface, was apparently part of the deal. It's as if Diddy and his partners wanted to dehumanize their victims in every possible way. And it didn't stop there. The parties weren't just one-off events. They reportedly lasted for days, with participants being forced to stay involved whether they wanted to or not. Some victims were given IV fluids to recover from the sheer physical exertion of what they had to endure. Others weren't so lucky. Williams has hinted that some people who attended these parties simply vanished afterward. Whether they were silenced or worse, it's clear that Diddy's empire wasn't just built on music and business deals. It was built on exploitation, control, and violence. Katt Williams has made it abundantly clear that he wasn't the only one Diddy tried to rope into these disturbing parties. In fact, he's not just calling out Diddy but pointing the finger at other powerful figures in Hollywood who have engaged in similar behavior for years. What we're seeing unfold with Diddy is just a glimpse into the broader, systemic problem that exists within the entertainment industry. Hollywood has long been a playground for the rich and influential, where money and fame serve as shields to protect the most powerful from facing the consequences of their actions. And let's be real, we all know this isn't just some new development, it's been happening for decades. For years, the wealthiest and most famous individuals in the industry have used their status to manipulate, abuse, and silence people who don't have the same level of protection. Whether it's victims, witnesses, or even other celebrities who dare to speak out, the fear of career-ending retaliation has kept many quiet. It's no secret that Hollywood has fostered an environment where exploitation and abuse thrive behind closed doors, with very few willing or able to challenge the powerful figures running the show. People like Diddy have been able to operate with impunity because the industry itself has been complicit in covering up these sickening behaviors. But now, in 2024, it seems like the tide is finally turning. More people are speaking out, and the culture of silence that has protected abusers is beginning to crack. The #MeToo movement may have opened the floodgates a few years ago, but what we're witnessing now is an even broader unraveling of the toxic power dynamics that have allowed these predators to thrive. Katt Williams is part of a new wave of voices that are no longer afraid to call out these Hollywood elites for who they really are. And the public, tired of the endless scandals, is more willing than ever to demand accountability from the rich and powerful.
Katt Williams went in on Diddy partygoers. Yeah, fam, did him dirty. Katt, in so many words, said that they had to be crazy to think that they were just going there to dance. Now, I got a slightly different view on that, right? Some people knew, obviously. But others, I'm going to give them the benefit of doubt. I'm willing to give them the benefit of doubt that perhaps they did not know, or they knew and they left early. But those who stayed, yeah, man, they absolutely knew. They came, no pun intended. They saw, and they got conquered.
Hollywood's days of unchecked power may finally be coming to an end, and figures like Diddy are at the forefront of this long overdue reckoning. What was once hidden behind the glitz and glamour of the entertainment industry is now being exposed for the world to see. The question remains, how many more high-profile figures will be caught up in this unraveling, and will the industry itself be forced to change for good? One thing is certain. Katt Williams' decision to speak out is helping to shine a light on an issue that has festered for far too long. The tide has turned, and there's no going back. Other celebrities have come forward with their own allegations against Diddy, adding to the growing pile of accusations. Cassie, Jaguar Wright, and others have all spoken out about the toxic culture of abuse that pervades Hollywood. These women, along with Katt Williams, are shedding light on the dark side of fame, a side that the public rarely sees. Diddy's freak-off parties are just one example of how the entertainment industry has been able to operate in the shadows for so long. But with more victims speaking out and more secrets coming to light, the culture of silence is starting to crack. The power structures that have allowed people like Diddy to thrive are beginning to crumble. No longer can these powerful figures rely on their money and influence to protect them. Katt Williams' bravery in speaking out against Diddy is a prime example of how the truth is finally coming to the surface. Williams has repeatedly said that he has receipts to back up his claims, and he's more than willing to present them if the authorities come knocking. He's made it clear that Diddy's time is up, and that 2024 is the year of truth-telling. As these allegations continue to stack up, it's becoming increasingly clear that Hollywood's days of unchecked power are numbered. The stories coming out now are shocking, but they're also part of a larger reckoning. People are finally being held accountable for their actions, and the industry is being forced to confront its ugly truths. Diddy's freak-off parties are just one piece of the puzzle, but they're emblematic of a much larger issue. The entertainment industry has long been a breeding ground for abuse, and now it's time for that to change.
All lies will be exposed, that's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way. The truth is the light. Because the people want to know, well, why would he get blackballed?
Yeah,
Oh, because
I was gonna ask you that.
because in 30 years I've done nothing but collect information, knowledge, and your secrets. So if you and a man was in a corner doing something you wasn't supposed to be doing,
You will tell it.
no, somebody come to tell me.
Okay.
I gather that, I value that, I'll pay for that. Come, tell me. I know so many things I shouldn't know, and they all know it.
Diddy isn't just facing a slap on the wrist here. If convicted, he's looking at up to 100 years behind bars. That's not just a small sentence, that's life in prison. The charges against him are serious: trafficking, coercion, kidnapping, and more. These crimes go back to 2008, which means Diddy has been able to hide his dirty dealings for over a decade. But now it seems like his empire is finally crumbling. The legal system isn't playing around this time, and neither is the public. People are waking up to the fact that Diddy isn't just a mogul. He's a predator who used his power to manipulate and exploit others. The question now is whether Diddy's career can survive this. Spoiler alert, it probably can't. Even if he manages to avoid the maximum sentence, his reputation is in tatters. The public has turned against him, and more people are coming forward with their own allegations. This isn't just a bad press day, it's a full-blown disaster for someone who once had the world at his feet. The question isn't just whether Diddy will go to jail, it's whether his legacy will ever recover. Spoiler alert again, it won't. Katt Williams truly deserves a lot of credit for bringing these dark truths to light. Let's be honest, he didn't have to do it. He could have easily taken the money, played the Hollywood game, and kept his head down like so many others in the industry. We all know how the entertainment world works. Speak up and you risk losing everything. But instead of following the path of least resistance, Williams chose to use his platform to expose the truth, even though it came with significant personal risk. He's faced plenty of backlash over the years for his outspoken nature, but this time it feels different. This time it seems like the world is finally paying attention to what he's saying. He warned us that 2024 would be the year of truth-telling, and so far it looks like he's been absolutely spot on.
Lightly.
What is it about Diddy's circle that makes them so loyal? So many people, as you say, would have ignored what was going on.
I mean, to be honest with you, these are their jobs, you know, and it's not about being loyal. It's more so like, this is your job. And I mean, it goes back to centuries when they're like people in positions of power. What are the servants gonna do?
But here's the thing, this scandal isn't just about Diddy. It's about the larger culture of silence and complicity that has allowed powerful figures like him to get away with their crimes for so long. Hollywood has always been a place where money and influence can buy silence. The industry's power dynamics have enabled abusers to operate in the shadows, protected by their fame and wealth. Victims have often been too terrified to come forward, knowing that doing so could ruin their careers or even put their lives at risk. The fear of retaliation has been a constant, and those who dared to speak out were often blacklisted or discredited. However, something has shifted in recent years, and 2024 seems to be the year when the curtain is finally being pulled back. The #MeToo movement, which began to expose the pervasive nature of abuse and exploitation in Hollywood, opened the floodgates for these kinds of stories to come out. Now, more and more people are stepping forward with their own experiences, and the culture of silence that protected the elite is starting to crumble. The days when Hollywood's most powerful figures could act with impunity are coming to an end, and people like Katt Williams are at the forefront of this long overdue reckoning. It's clear that Hollywood is going through a transformative period, and the industry's elite are no longer untouchable. As more stories surface, it's becoming harder for these powerful figures to hide behind their money and fame. What Katt Williams has done is more than just expose one man. He's helped shine a light on a deeply ingrained problem that has been allowed to thrive for far too long. The question now is, how many more people will step forward? And how many more of Hollywood's darkest secrets will finally be revealed?
Because the people want to know, well, why would he get blackballed?
Yeah,
Oh, because
I was gonna ask you
because
that.
because in 30 years I've done nothing but collect information, knowledge, and your secrets. So if you and a man was in a corner doing something you wasn't supposed to be doing,
You will tell it.
no, somebody come to tell me.
Okay.
I gather that, I value that, I'll pay for that. Come, tell me. I know so many things I shouldn't know, and they all know it. They all know it. Why? Because you don't make me the villain. Not the guy that raises black children and ain't never done a hard drug in his life and don't have no stories of doing nobody dirty. And they'll just go out and they'll lie. The industry doesn't mess with Katt because he didn't show up for the studio. No studios have ever said that. Look at my IMDb. It will show you that no studio has ever lost money with me on the script.
This scandal also forces us to reckon with what we, as a society, have allowed. For too long, we've idolized celebrities without questioning how they got to the top. But now, with stories like Katt Williams coming to light, we're starting to see the truth behind the glitz and glamour. Hollywood isn't just about movies and music. It's also about power, control, and manipulation. And if Diddy's fall from grace teaches us anything, it's that no one is untouchable. So, what are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below.